It looks like people are starting to come in. So hello, everyone. Welcome back to another live community classroom with Michaels. Today we have Tamara from Moogly. She's with us ready for another great class. We're going to be crocheting the Diagonal Stripes textured crochet pillow. My name is Deanna. I'm from Yarnspirations, and I'll be here sort of helping get your questions to Tamara. I'll also drop the PDF of the pattern in the chat just in case you guys didn't get it in your emails. So we're just gonna wait for everybody to get in here, and while we're waiting, let us know where you're joining from. I'm sure there's people all over the country. And just a quick reminder, today's class is being recorded and you can find the recording tomorrow at michaels.com/classes.
Hey everybody, I see everybody saying where they're from. I'm Tamara from Iowa and I run mooglyblog.com. And as Deanna was saying, we're going to be making the Diagonal Stripes and Texture pillow. So you can see that right here. Just going to show this off here for a few minutes while everybody comes into the room. I'm going to pull back a little bit. I made it in white because I know about you guys, but I love those heavily textured white things, that boho farmhouse look. But of course, under the lights, it's a little harder to see. So I'm going to be crocheting it in blue today, but you can use whatever color you want. It's Bernat Blanket, so it comes in tons of colors. You can definitely pick your favorite. But if I pull it back a little bit, hopefully from the light here, kind of angle it the right way, there we go. You can see the really beautiful texture. And this is all made using post stitches. And then I'm going to show you the really fun join that I did to join the two pieces together. Because making a pillow is really simple. If you've never made a pillow before, it's basically just two squares or whatever shape for pillow you're making. And then you just seam them up around the sides and boom, you've got a pillow. I'll go ahead and share one of my big tips though. When you do make crocheted or knitted pillows, my recommendation is to get a pillow form at least 2 inches bigger than the pillow you're making. So for example, this is officially a 16-inch pillow. When I laid these pieces of crochet out flat, they were 16 inches by 16 inches. And that's measuring across and up and down, not diagonally. But then when I went to buy the pillow form, I made sure to get one that was 18 inches by 18 inches. And that's what gives it that really great squish and puff. So if you like your pillows a little thinner, absolutely go with the 16-inch one. But I really recommend getting a bigger pillow form than the pillow you're making. And that's what's going to help really fill out those corners. So you don't get those empty corners in your pillow and it's not overly flat. That really helps keep it nice and puffy. So I'll just throw that out right up front here. That is my big tip for when you're making crocheted pillows. So like I said, this pattern is made using Yarnspirations Bernat Blanket, which of course you can get at Michaels in a bunch of colors. Like I say, the original was made in white. I won't be demoing with it today because I know it's hard to see. But one thing I want to point out, when you use this yarn, I'm going to go ahead and put this one aside so I have a little more room on my table here. You want to make sure that you have a large yarn or tapestry needle. So you can see from the thickness of the yarn, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the other color here. You can see it's a really thick yarn. So the little regular yarn needles may not work. So if you have one of these bigger ones, they're often plastic. There's a couple different styles out there. Definitely check out and see what all Michaels has. But look for the ones with the larger eyes and maybe pick up one of those when you pick up that yarn if you haven't before, because that'll be really handy. Just for comparison, here you can see like that's a regular one and that's the great big one. So if you've got one of those, you'll want to use one of those too. Additionally, for this pattern, you will need a hook, of course, a crochet hook. This one is, I'm just going to double check and make sure, it is a US L8 millimeter. There it is. Yes, 8mm hook. This one happens to be a clover. And then you'll of course also need some stitch markers and scissors, sort of your standard crochet supplies. I've got my stitch markers right here. Again, you can pick these up at your local Michaels or online at michaels.com. So the pattern, like I said, we're going to be making today is the Diagonal Stripes and Texture Crochet Pillow. So let's go ahead and go to the overhead cam. If we could switch, please. Thank you. That was quick. So here is the written pattern. Now you should have gotten a link to this in your email when you signed up for the class. If you didn't, be sure to check the chat. Then you can, go ahead and get the link for this. You can follow along. So the first page has all your abbreviations and everything else, and the second page has the actual written pattern. I do want to go ahead and point out that this is an intermediate level pattern. So if you are a beginner crocheter and you came in hoping to learn how to single crochet and double crochet and chain to make those basic stitches, this is not the pattern for you. You're going to want to try something simpler like the Crochet 101 class that we did here at Michael's a couple weeks ago. So let's go ahead and get started with our pillow. Like I said, I'm going to pull up this great aqua color so it's a little bit easier to see. And then the way the pattern starts, and we're going to, like I say, we're going to make two pieces. It's two squares that are then joined together, is that we start with a row of foundation double crochet. So let me pull my hair off the yarn there. I don't know about you guys. We were just talking about this before we started the class. We always get hair on our yarn projects. It's always an ongoing battle for me. So you can see I'm just starting here with the slip knot on my hook. And then our first line of instructions says work 32 foundation double crochets. So if you haven't made foundation double crochets, this is going to be a really fun pattern to learn this with. It's a great stitch. And I love it because you can get exactly the number of stitches you need without having to chain and count all those chains and then working back into the chain. So there are a few different ways to make post stitches, but I'll go ahead and demo the way I like to do them today. So I'm going to start by yarning over and making two chains here. There's 1 and 2. You can see right here, it's a very fuzzy yarn, so it's a little bit harder to see your stitches. So you will want to go ahead and take your time with this a little bit. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to insert my hook in the back hump of that first chain I made, the one right next to the slip knot. Again, you just need to take your time a little bit. There's the first chain here you have to work into, but after that, we don't have to work into the chains anymore. There we go. So I've got the loop that was on my hook, I've yarned over, and I've gone to that first chain. So now I'm going to yarn over again and pull a loop through just that first chain there, okay? So you can see now I have 3 loops on my hook again. That loop I just pulled through just now, that's going to be the chain, the foundation chain at the bottom of my first foundation double crochet. So what I do from here is I yarn over and pull through just that first loop again, and that begins our stitch. So now we treat it like a regular double crochet. Yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And that's how you make the first one. So I'm going to go ahead and actually pull that out and show it again. For anybody who needed to see that again, I've got my 2 chains. I'm going to go ahead and leave those on there. I've got my 2 chains made. Then I yarn over. I go into that back bump of the very first chain I made. Yarn over, pull that loop through. Yarn over again, pull through just that first loop. Yarn over and pull through 2. And yarn over and pull through 2. So if you like, at this point, I always like to use stitch markers in lots of places in my patterns. So I always like to go ahead and put a stitch marker right in the top of that very first stitch. So it's just that little bit easier to find when I come back along, because that chain 2 is not going to count as a stitch. So this just makes it a little bit easier to make sure you aren't working any extra stitches. So with that first foundation double crochet made, then we're ready to make the rest. So the rest of the foundation stitches work like this. We yarn over, and then what we want to do is look for the 2 loops at the bottom of that stitch we just made. Remember when I pulled that first loop through and said that was going to be the foundation chain at the bottom? That's it right there, and it should look like a little V. So if we put our hook under both of those loops right at the bottom of that first foundation double crochet, then we can yarn over and pull 1 loop through, and now we've got the chain made at the bottom of our second stitch. So we yarn over and pull through 1 to start our double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So that's how we'll make all the rest of the foundation double crochets. Now, for the sake of time, because we've only got an hour, I'm not going to make 32. I'm going to be making a little mini pillow. I've already finished one of my little squares here today. So I'm actually only going to be making 8 stitches. So let's go ahead and make 6 more together. So we're going to yarn over, go into the bottom of the previous stitch under both of those loops. There we go. You can kind of see there I've gone under both of those loops. Yarn over again, pull a loop through. Now we've got 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through just the first one to start the stitch. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've got a few more to go here. Yarn over, go into the bottom of the previous stitch under both of those loops. Yarn over, pull up a loop. That's now the chain at the bottom. Yarn over, pull up a loop to start your double crochet. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through 2. All right, is everybody getting a good look at that? I don't have the chat up because I need to be able to see what I'm doing on my screen, but Deanna, can you let me know, or people being able to see what I'm doing, or?
I haven't seen anyone say in the chat that they can't see what you're doing. So if anyone's having problems, please just type a message in there and I can let Tamara know.
Okay, so now we've got 4 and we can count them. Yes, I need to do it 4 more times too. So we can count them just the top bees like we normally do there. So let's do 4 more. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go into the bottom 2 loops there, the bottom of our stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop to make the chain, yarn over, pull through that one to start a double crochet, just like we normally would yarn over, go into the stitch and pull up a loop. That's that loop right there. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. We'll do it again. We yarn over. Is it going a little quick, Sasha? I'm sorry about that. We'll take this one really slow. Okay, got my previous stitches made here. Going to yarn over from front to back, just like I normally would for a stitch. Go to the previous stitch and look right along where the foundation chain would normally be. Normally there'd be another little chain hanging out right there to go into. We want to find the 2 loops at the bottom of the previous stitch. And sometimes you just kind of have to poke your hook in there, like when you're working with really fuzzy yarns and it's a little harder to see. Get under both of those loops at the bottom of the previous stitch. Then we yarn over and just pull one up through there, and that becomes the new chain. Then we yarn over, pull one right up through there. That begins our double crochet. Then we yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So now we are up to 1, 2,
and just
3.
So everyone,
yep, sorry,
Tamara. Just so everyone knows, this class is being recorded, so you can go back and watch it as many times as you want. It'll be available tomorrow at michaels.com/classes. So the very beginning and everything is going to be available for you to watch at your own pace over and over again.
Absolutely. And I understand, yeah, we've got a lot to get through in the hour. So basically we just started with a chain of 2, and then rather than going into the previous stitch, you yarn over and go into that first chain you made, pull up a loop, and otherwise work it off the same. So we've got a couple more to make here to get my first row made. So I'm going to yarn over, go under those 2 loops at the bottom of the previous. If I was just starting, I would be going into that first chain I made. Yarn over and pull up a loop. That's our new chain. Yarn over, pull through that one to start our double crochet. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. I need to pull up a little bit more yarn here. These are some big balls of yarn, so you have to start every once in a while and just kind of pull out some more. And everybody's got some big opinions on this one, but for me personally, I like to pull from the outside of the skein of these, but I know there are those who like to pull from the inside. I want to say whatever works for you is fine. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 1 more of these to make. So I'm going to yarn over. And just like before, go under those 2 loops at the bottom, yarn over and pull up a loop to start the new one there. That's my chain. Yarn over and pull through that one to start my double crochet. Yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Now I've got my 8 stitches made, I believe here. Yep, 8 stitches made. Like I said, I can just count those right across the top. But what I love about foundation double crochets, well, I love a lot of things about them. I love that I can get exactly however many I need to without having to work into a bunch of chains. So this is great for really long, wide projects. But a couple other things. If we look at that bottom again, our foundation chain, you see how we've got really nice V's here. When we come back around to work a border or an edging on these stitches, we're going to have some really nice stitches to work into. And you won't get that effect where sometimes when you can work a border around a project and the bottom of those stitches can get real leggy when you're just working to that back bump of the chain. This avoids that. It also has a bit more stretch than a chain would. So if you've not used the foundation double crochet before, I do encourage you to take some time and play with this stitch and learn it, because it can really elevate your crochet. And I think you'll really enjoy using it and the effects you can get with it. So that was row 1. Like I say, in the written pattern, you'll see you need 32. Again, for the sake of time today, if I did that, I don't know that we'd make it through more than 1 row. So we're going to go ahead and just make a swatch of 8 today. At least that's what I'll be working on. If you want to, especially if you're watching this recorded, you can pause it, make 32. and then you'll be all set for round 2, or excuse me, row 2. So let's go ahead and begin
Hey,
row 2.
Tamara.
Oh, yes, sorry, go ahead.
There's just a question. Someone is asking if the pattern will take 2 whole balls of yarn. They have half of one left over from another project they're trying to use up.
No, I did not use 2 whole balls. It was total of 375 yards. Let me pull up. I've got one here. Let's see.
So it should be about 220 yards in each ball.
Okay, yep, there are 220 yards in each ball, so 1.5 balls. Quick math. It's gonna come close. It'll be close. So, but you know
might be playing a little yarn chicken, but you'll be okay.
But I will go ahead and give you a little thing here if you want. You'll notice I said I was working a swatch of 8, and the original calls for 32. It's a multiple of 4. Or excuse me, I scratched that. It's a multiple of 6 plus 2. Different pattern in my head, I apologize. It's a multiple of 6 plus 2. So if you need to adjust your pattern slightly because you don't have enough yarn, you're gonna end up with a different size pillow. So you'll want to make the squares and then measure it to see what size pillow form you want to get. But you could drop 6 stitches from the width and then drop, however many rows are necessary till you get to a square. So that's a little hint there if you are a little bit short on yarn. So, okay, so with that, I think we're ready to start round 2. So for round 2, or row 2, I should say, we're going to start with a chain of 1. That is our turning chain, so we're not going to count that as a stitch. Then we're going to work a half double crochet in the first stitch. So this is a real fun stitch, one of my favorites, and I know other people like it too. We yarn over, go right into that first stitch. And this time, these are just regular stitches. So we're going to work into those foundation stitches just like they were any other stitch, going under those top 2 loops. Then we pull up our loop there, 3 loops on the hook, we yarn over and pull through all 3. Now again, just because I always find it helpful and I really recommend it, it helps keep your sides straight, it helps you not lose stitches. I'm gonna go ahead and put a stitch marker right in that first stitch of our second row. Then we get to start the really fun post stitch pattern that's gonna create all that texture and excitement for this pillow. So what we want to do now is work a double crochet front post or front post double crochet around each of the next 3 stitches. So I've got this stitch worked into this stitch. So this is our next stitch right here. And this is the post, and that's what we're going to go around for this post stitch. So if you haven't made post stitches before, it's going to be a lot like making other stitches. It's just a matter of where you put your hook. So to make a double crochet around the front post, we're going to yarn over just as we normally would for a double crochet. But then we're going to go around the post of the stitch itself rather than into the top. And we're going to do that from the front to the back and then out the other side. So you can see I've yarned over here, and I'm going to go down one side of that post and pop my hook up right on the other side there. So you can see I went from the front around the back and popped out the other side of the post there. So let me pull that back out. So I yarn over, find that post of the next stitch, the long part of the stitch there. We go from the front in on one side and bring the hook back out on the other. So if you're left-handed, you're going to be doing it the other direction, but you still want to go from the front and pop out on the other side. All right, I'm not going to try and actually do it left-handed. I'm not quite that talented. But then we can yarn over and pull a loop right up behind that stitch, just as we normally would if we were working into the top of a stitch. We just pull it right behind that stitch. Then we yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And that's it. That's the only difference. It's just a matter of where you stick the hook. Excuse me. Now it depends on the pattern you're following, but for the sake of this pattern and mini patterns where you're making post stitches, once you've worked around that post, that stitch is considered worked. If I were to go back and then work into the top of that stitch, again, not so much an issue for this pattern, but going forward, then I would be, I'd be increasing because I'd be working 2 stitches around this stitch. So I'm not going to work into the top of this stitch at all. It is just considered already worked because I worked that post stitch around it. So that's our first one, and we've got 2 more to go. So we yarn over, find that post of the next stitch, and you can go ahead and just pull your fabric right apart so you can get a nice good look at it right there. Go from the front in on one side, around the back, and pop the hook up on the other. So then we yarn over and pull that loop right behind that post, And it's okay. This is a very textured yarn, so you might want to have to give it a little wiggle so you get enough room to pull through with your hook there. Then we yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So that is 2 double crochets around the front post. Another one, we yarn over, find the next post, and then from front to back, pop up on the other side, yarn over again, and you can see, hopefully you can see that yarn over. I'm just pulling it right in front of my previous work. There we are. Pull up that loop, give it a little tug if you need to, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So that is our double crochet front post around each of the next 3 stitches. The next set of instructions, if you're reading along with the written pattern, it's a small change. Instead of DCFP for front post, it's DCBP for back post. So now we're going to do 3 of those. And to do that, we yarn over just like we did before. And then we find that next post. And then this time, instead of coming from the back, or the front rather, we are going to move everything to the back. So now I'm going to bring my hook from the back around that post and pop it out on the other side, but on the back of my work. So let me pull that out again so you can see it again here. I can see the post for my next stitch right there. I've yarned over for a double crochet. Then I come to the back, put my hook to the front, wrap it right around that post, and pop it right back out the back. And then it's fine to just turn your work over like this and actually work this rest of this stitch off looking at the back of your work, whatever's most convenient for you, whatever feels most natural for you. Then we yarn over and pull that loop. And you can see here, if I turn over, we're pulling that loop right in the front of that previous post. And if it gets caught on your stitches, it's fine to go ahead and pull it out and start again. Sometimes when you're pulling through like this and get caught up on another loop of a stitch, you just want to take your time and get that loop pulled up. You can see here we've got our 3 loops on the hook. So we yarn over again, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. And that is the back post double crochet. So now that we've got 2 of them right next to each other here, you can see the visual difference. The front post, it's all right there in the front of the fabric. The back post, you can see the top of the previous row right in front of it. So now we need to make 2 more of those back post double crochets. So I'll get my little end out of the way here. There we go. We yarn over again, find that next post, come right from behind with our hook, go around the front and pop it out the back. So if you're left-handed, let me kind of pull it out here and zhuzh it a little bit, it would be going that direction, and that would be the front, and that's what your back would look like. Let me turn that back around here. There we are. So with my hook through there, just working right across the back, I will yarn over and pull that loop all the way around that post, then yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So that's 2 of them, and you can see we've got a really strong ridge there. That's going to create that beautiful pattern. So let's do 1 more. We yarn over, and then coming from the back of our fabric, we go around the post of the next stitch till it pops out there on the back again. Yarn over, pull that loop through, yarn over again, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So now we've got our half double crochet, 3 double crochets around the front post, and 3 double crochets around the back post. Now in this pattern, you'll see it written, like I said, DCFP and DCBP. Sometimes in patterns, they switch that up a little bit and it's front post double crochet and back post double crochet. So FPDC instead. So, but when you see either of those abbreviations, it's the same stitch. So there's always usually a key too, which helps you figure out if you are questioning what the stitch is. But those 6 stitches are going to be a repeat all the way across your pillow until you get to that very last stitch. So if you're making the full-size pillow and not this tiny little swatch like me, you'll make 3 more double crochets around the front post, 3 more double crochets around the back post, then 3 more around the front, 3 more around the back, etc., until you get to that very last stitch. And then we get to that very last stitch, we're just going to pop a half double crochet right in there. And this is why I have that stitch marked. You see, now that we've been working around the post, we've got that little extra bit from our front post double crochet. I've got, from our foundation double crochet, excuse me. Having that stitch marked makes it really easy to see exactly where that last stitch goes. I can just put my hook right in there, make one more half double crochet, and that finishes off our row. I did see one question pop up asking, can you use a different yarn to make this pattern? Absolutely. It will change the size though. Bernat Blanket is a very jumbo yarn. So if you use a different yarn, same thing as if you alter the pattern a little bit. I'd say make the squares, take your measurements, and then decide what size pillow form to get, because it's hard to say, obviously, exactly how big your pillow is going to end up. So that is the end of row 2. Did we have any questions, Deanna? Sneaking a sip of my coffee.
Not so far. I think you saw I think you saw the one there asking if it can be done using another type of yarn. So
okay.
So far so good, I think. People are following along. Just want to remind everyone again, we're recording the class. It's going to be available tomorrow at michaels.com/classes for you to watch.
Yes, absolutely. So really those are all the stitches until we get to our assembly, but we're going to be shifting this pattern back and forth as we make each row. So let's go ahead and move on to row 3. I'm going to start again with a chain 1 and turn, or turn and chain 1, however you like to do it. And I do recommend as you progress with your crocheting, always try and turn it the same way. Like I wouldn't work across this way and then turn it back this way. Always try and stay consistent with how you turn your project over, and your size will be a little bit nicer. So just throw that little tip in there. So I've got my chain 1 and I've turned. So again, I'm going to work a half double crochet right in that first stitch. All these rows till we get, right up to the end of the pattern here are going to begin and end with a half double crochet. So I've moved up my stitch marker. I don't need to keep it in that previous row. It's not doing me any good there. So I've moved it up to the first stitch for this row. And then we are going to work a double crochet front post around each of the next 2 stitches. And this is something else I wanted to show you. Let me turn this back over again. This is the row we just worked. You can see how we've got our front post stitches here and our back post stitches here. What happens when I turn those over? It looks the same. It looks like front post stitches here and back post stitches here. But that's the great thing. It is very reversible like that, as you can see. And we are going to go ahead and be working right around these posts. So let's go ahead and make these first 2 double crochets around the front post. I'm going to yarn over again, just as I did before. And now it's even easier to see, since we've already worked a row of them, where that post stitch is, where the post of the stitch is rather. So I've yarned over. I'm going to go right around the front, just as I did before, just right around that post of the stitch. Yarn over, pull up my loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. So we do that again. We yarn over, find the post of the next stitch, yarn over, or insert our hook from front to back. There we are. Yarn over, pull up our loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Then we double crochet around the back post of each of the next 3 stitches. You can see this is where we're going to start shifting that pattern to create the diagonal. So even though this looks like a front post from here, we can go ahead and just go right from the back, just as we normally did. You might have to push it a little bit, get your hook in there and around it, pull up your loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and of course yarn over and pull through 2, right there. So you can see, you can mix it up and switch it right there. You don't have to keep them in straight lines, although you can. That's a really fun look too. So we've got 2 more of those to go. So just find the next one. This one is going to look like it's a back post double crochet. Oops, there we are. Get that yarn over there. Yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. We've got 1 more. So we yarn over, come from the back, go right around that post, yarn over again, pull up our loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So we've made 2 front post double crochets, 3 back post double crochets. So then we finish up our repeat with a double crochet front post around the next stitch. So I was talking before about how this pattern has a 6-stitch repeat. So in the previous row, it was 3 double crochet front post and 3 double crochet back post. This one, it's 2 front post, 3 back post, 1 front post. And that's the repeat that you'll do again and again for row 3. 2 front post, 3 back post, 1 front post. And if you keep doing those 6 stitches across, that will once again get you to that last stitch, and we can just drop a half double crochet right in that very last stitch, right in those top 2 loops, just like a normal stitch, not a post stitch at all. And that is row 3. So you can see by shifting the front post and back post crochets over, we're getting that diagonal already. So I see there was a question, but I can't see all of it, unfortunately. I can only see like the first 5 words. So Deanna, can you help me out?
Yes. So she's asking, she says, I'm doing my double crochet chain and my work is not straight and I don't know what is wrong.
Okay, that is a great question. I'm really actually glad you brought that up. When you're making that first row of foundation crochet, it's very normal to find it, typically it's going to want to bend like this a little bit. So almost like a frown, I guess you could say, is the bend. And that is really, really normal. Couple things. If it's a slight bend, like it's not super dramatic, then a lot of times when you work that second row, it's just going to pull it straight out. It's going to pull out back flat. If it is a very, very dramatic, pull in, then what that means is when you're making those foundation stitches, I'm just going to kind of pretend this is a foundation stitch here. If I were to go into that stitch to make a foundation stitch, and I pull up that first loop and I say that's the chain, that chain right there tends to get a little bit tight, just like our regular chains. And when you're working with a really textured yarn like this, that can be even more of an issue. So what I want you to encourage you to do is when you're making those foundation double crochets and you pull up that first loop that makes the bottom, the chain, the foundation chain, just really go ahead and give that a little extra tug before you start working off the rest of the stitch. So from here I would work, that pull through 1 and then pull through 2 and pull through 2. I'll go ahead and finish that here just so we can see. But by giving that, excuse me, giving that foundation chain, that first loop, a little bit more of a tug there, that's going to widen the base of the row and it will get rid of that curve, or at least help quite a bit with it and bring it down enough where working that second row will straighten it out. But it is very normal to get a little bit of a curve on that first row of foundation double crochet. So don't let that stop you. Like I say, and if it's not that dramatic and you can still kind of pull it out straight, then odds are when you work that next row or those next couple rows, it's going to pull it out straight for you too. So I hope that was the issue. If it was curving the other way, then you might be pulling that first loop up a little too big. If it's making a smile, then that first loop is too big. Tone that down a little bit. So hopefully that answers your question. So did we have any other questions? As long as we're taking a little break here. Or?
I don't see any other ones.
Okay, great.
Katya says, thank you for answering the question.
Oh,
so that's great. Looks like you. And just letting you know, we're at about 4:30. So we've got about half the class left. This is just flying by.
It is, it absolutely is. Luckily, I just figured out how to make a little swatch of it here. So I think we might come close since we are making a lot of these same stitches over and over again here. So let's go ahead and jump on to row 4. We're going to start, of course, again with our turn and chain 1 or chain 1 and turn, and then a half double crochet right in that very first stitch. There we are. And I will move up my stitch marker, and I'll go ahead and throw another tip in here too. You'll notice when I pull my hook out to put my stitch marker in, which I need to do because I'm just not that coordinated. But when I do, I always stick my first finger of my non-hook hand through my loop. And this has a couple purposes. Obviously, it keeps the loop open so I don't accidentally pull it out and have to remake my stitch, but it also keeps it the right way round. When you insert your hook back in a loop that you've had to pull it out of, you want to make sure that when you tug on your working yarn, the part that moves, get a little different grip here so I can show you. The part that moves, you'll see how that's in front of the hook. If I pull that up a little wider and hold it closer here, you can see how that's the one moving. That is the loop you want, the part of the loop that you want in front of your hook. And it's really easy for those loops to get twisted when we put our work down. So if you're pulling it out just temporarily like that, I just put my finger in it. If I need to put it down and bring my hook back into it later, then I will always do that give it a little tug test to make sure it's facing the right direction. So continuing on with the 4th row, after we've made our half double crochet in the first stitch, we work 1 double crochet around the back post of each of the next 2 stitches. So you can see how we've changed our look a little bit here as we turned over, but we're just going to yarn over and find that very first stitch. And again, it's fine to give it a tug, really pull the stitch wide open so you can find those spaces if you need to. Then we come from the back, around the post, and pop it back out the back again. Pull that loop right up and around, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, and pull through 2. So we've got one more of those. So we yarn over. This time it looks like a front post that we're going around. We just go right on around it. Pull that loop up. Like I say, give it a tug. It is a textured yarn, so it doesn't necessarily want to slip right past itself, but that's what gives it that great, squishy feel. So totally worth it. So we've got our first 2 double crochet back posts done. So the next thing in the instructions is to double crochet around the front post of the next 3. So we're just going to continue our shift here. So we yarn over, and now we're going to come from the front and make 3 front post double crochets, or 3 double crochets around the front post, however you want to put it. So you can see, I know I'm going a little bit quicker there. I'll do that one, next one a little bit slower. Yarn over, find the next one. And you can use your hook too. If, once you get going with it, you can really use your hook to kind of pull that stitch up. Give it a good tug. Don't be afraid. This yarn is not delicate. So we've got, let's see, we've got our 2 back post double crochets, 3 front post double crochets. And now, because I know it's a 6-row repeat and I've worked it a little bit, and I know there's always going to be 3 of each kind, it's time for another back post double crochet. Of course, you can always check the written pattern too, but just a little hint there. When you've got your repeat of 6 stitches, it's going to be 3 front post and 3 back post in some order. So as we shift, as you continue to make this, it'll get a little bit easier to really read your work and see what the next row is going to do. So that is our 6-stitch repeat for row 4. We back post double crochet around 2, front post double crochet around 3, back post double crochet around 1. So you can see, in a way, it was kind of opposite of the previous row, but it's still 6 stitches of post stitches. So we've got 2 back post, 3 front post, 1 back post. And that will be your 6-stitch repeat that carries you all the way across till we get that very last stitch again. And of course, finish it up with a half double crochet. And those half double crochets will give us a really nice solid edge here to work our edging into. And of course, they're just the right height so we don't get some weird, too tall edges for our post stitches. So moving on to row 5. I keep saying rounds today. It's row 5. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Work our half double crochet right in our very first stitch. Get our stitch marker in there. And if you don't have stitch markers today and you can't get them for a little bit, you can always use a little piece of scrap yarn or an actual safety pin in a pinch. Paper clips are a good alternative as well. So if you find yourself stuck somewhere where you can't get any, you can still find something usually. So continuing on with row 5, say we've got our half double crochet in the first stitch, then we're going to double crochet around the back post of each of the next 3. So we yarn over, come from the back, go around that post, pop on the back of our fabric, and work off that double crochet. So there's 1. And you can see we're switching. It looks like our stitches here, but it doesn't matter. You still just pull it apart, find where that stitch goes. There's 2. 1 more to go. Oh, and there's another one of my hairs trying to sneak in there. Do another back post double crochet. Here we are. So if we know we've already worked 3 back post double crochets, it must be time for 3 front post double crochets to finish off our repeat of 6. So now we just switch to coming from the front of our fabric. Like so. So there's 1 and 2. And I need to pull up some more yarn here on my end. There we are. There's 3. Okay, so that is our repeat for row 5. 3 back post double crochet, 3 front post double crochet, just over and over again until you get to that end where we can drop in our half double crochet right in our marked stitch. And now that we've made 5 rows here, you can really start to see how that diagonal is formed. All right, how's it going, Deanna? Everything okay on your end?
Yeah, it's looking so far so good. Does anyone have any questions? I don't see any in the chat right now.
Just want to make sure. I don't want to raise the head on anybody. All right, well, we're going to keep moving then. I think we're making good time. Let's move on to row 6. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Half double crochet right in that first stitch. Don't even need to look now. You just know you're going to work a half double crochet in the first and last stitch. There we are. And now we are going to work a front post double crochet around the next stitch. So we yarn over, find that very next one, go right around that post, and then we're going to jump to 3 back post double crochets. So there's 1 and 2 and 3. And then I did not pull up enough yarn next time, so I'm gonna bounce this skein around here for a minute and get some more yarn up. And tell me too, I know Bernat Blanket is such a classic. Odds are you probably have some at home already. And like I say, if not, Michael's is happy to provide it for you as well. But let me know too what color you guys would make this pillow in. It's always hard for me to pick colors when I'm making a new design. Like I said, I really liked white for this one myself, just because of that great boho look. But I think, you know, it looks really cool in this aqua color too. So I'm curious to see what colors you guys want to use. So now I've got my yarn pulled up here. We can get back to our row 5. We've got our back post, our front post double crochet, 3 back post double crochets. So then we need 2 more front post double crochets to finish off our repeat of 6. So we'll yarn over, go right around the next one from the front, make that one, and then 1 more. And with that, we have our 6 stitch repeat made again. Front, 3 back, 2 front. So 1 front, 3 back, 2 front, over and over and over again. Oh, and another good idea too, if you only have 1 skein of each color, you could make each side a different color too. Then you've got a reversible pillow, 2 looks in 1. So after, of course, we've got our 6 stitch repeat taking us across row 5. We're going to finish that up with a half double crochet. And then we are ready to work row 6. And let's see. Yep, I'm just making sure I did that right. And then actually that was row 6, wasn't it? Let's see if I lost track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was row 6. I apologize. Again, follow along with written instructions. It's always hard to be glancing back and forth at my work here and the written instructions at the same time. So we have made now, let's double check, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That does say 5, but it looks like, did I work row 6 instead of row 5? I apologize, folks. The joys of live. It's always a little easier when we're pre-recording. I think I may have skipped row 5 here. I did, so I apologize for that. I'm going to pull this back out and redo that row 5 because I actually just did row 6. So, all right. But that's the great thing about crochet. Honestly, that's one of my favorite things about this craft is when you make a mistake, you just give it a tug and it all goes away. Don't you love that? Not very many other crafts you can do that with. Yarn crafts maybe, but not a whole lot of others. So let's do this 5th row again. I have got my double crochet in my first stitch. I am going to, oh gosh, I apologize. I'm just a little bit mixed up on my rows here because this does look like row 5 right here. That was row 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yep. Well, you know what? We're going to do row 6 again. I apologize. I'm just getting myself a little flummoxed here. All right, so let's do row 6 again. We're going to start with our half double crochet in the first stitch, work a double crochet front post around the next stitch, double crochet back post around the next 3, just like we did a few minutes ago. 1, 2, 3. I guess I was just a little ahead of myself. Didn't realize we had gotten this far already. Thought I had a couple more rows to go and I've only got 1. So then we finish, let's see, did I get double crochet around each of the next 2, 1 and 2. And there we go. Okay, finish that up with my half double crochet in the last, and now we're actually ready for row 7. So again, be sure to follow the written pattern. It's a little bit easier than following along with this maybe, but you'll be able to see exactly, you know, how to work each one of these rows. And of course, you can always kind of see too, if there are diagonals heading the right direction, then you are headed the right direction as well. So finally, we're ready for row 7. And row 7 is going to be the last row of our repeat. So as you continue to make this, you're going to obviously want to make it a lot longer than this little swatch here. And it is a total of 24 rows. And you're just going to repeat rows 2 through 7, and then 2 through 7 again, and then 2 through 6 to finish that off. So when you get to a total of 24 rows, then you'll know that, and it should be roughly square, then you'll be ready to move on to the edging round. So let's go ahead and make row 7 together. We're going to start with a chain 1, a half double crochet right in that first stitch, of course. There we are. And I will show you how I'm counting rows here in a minute. And it is always a little bit trickier in post stitches, which is where I tripped myself up. So for row 7, we'll get through this and then we're going to go ahead and count our rows together. And hopefully there will be 7 of them. So there's my chain 1, half double crochet in the first stitch. We are going to double crochet around the back post of the next stitch. And that means then if it's just a 1, then it's time to do 3 of something. So 3 double crochets around the front post. 1, 2, 3, and then to finish up our 6-stitch repeat, that means double crochet around the back post of the next 2. So right around that back post, 1 and 2. Even though it's the same post, we just call it the back post. Even though it's to the post from the back, but that's too much to write in a pattern. So 1 back post, 3 front post, 2 back post, 1, 3, 1. And that's your repeat across then for row 7. Finish it up with a half double crochet in the last stitch. It'll be ready to do more repeats, of course, repeating rounds or rows 2 through 7 until you have 24 total. So let's go ahead and count those rows that we have made. Because like I said, I fully acknowledge that with post stitches, it is a little bit more difficult to count those rows. So one way you can do it is, I'm going to try and pull this apart here a little bit. Do you see here where we've got that little ridge where we made our back post stitches? Or it might have been front post stitches, but on this side, it looks like a back post stitch. And we've got that little ridge at the top of the row. So what you can do, depending on the pattern, it's not going to work for all your patterns. You might need to flip it over and do it from the back or something like that. Try and find a spot where you can count those, because we know this is going to be the top of that first row that got pushed forward. So we can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then hiding right down in there. If it was a big full-size pillow, it'd be easier to see. There's 6, and then of course 7. That's the top one right there. So if we turn it over a little bit here and do it from the other side, just to give you another look at it, you can say here 1, 2, maybe jump over here to this one so we can see it easier. There's a little one hanging out there, but we want to look for one we can see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can do that. If you want to, you can try and count those half double crochets along the side, but that's my little trick for counting post stitches. I just look for those top ridges of the rows. And as long as you don't, lose little ones sort of like here, hiding in here, then you can get a good idea of how many rows you've made with post stitches.
We've got another question
go ahead.
here, Tamara. Just Cindy's asking, how do you tell if you're on the right side or the wrong side of the work?
Well, for this pattern, the wrong side is the first row. So that very first row we made, which would have been working this way. If you want to, you can go ahead and put a stitch marker in one side. If the, if the pattern indicates what's wrong side, right side, you can put a stitch marker in that side after you make that row, just to always give you that little clue. Other than that, it depends. If you're making something with a big cable pattern, which, post stitches are how you end up making crochet cables. So if that, then you can usually tell there's a right side and a wrong side because the cable is going to show on one side versus the other. As far as this pattern goes, in all honesty, it's pretty reversible. I mean, you can see here, I'll pull up this swatch here that I finished off with the edging already. So here's one side and here's the other. I'm going to say for this one, we're going to work the edging from one side and that's going to be another clue. But if you find that you really prefer what's officially the back side of this one, go for it. Go ahead and flip it over. It's a pillow. It's your project. But in terms of strictly knowing what's right and wrong, quote unquote, for the purposes of this pattern, as we begin working this edging round, generally you want the edging facing out. You want the edging on the right side. So if I'm working the edging from this side, I would want to make this the right side. If I was working the edging from this side, I would want to make this the right side. So that's just another clue sometimes in patterns. And you really just, if you like both sides of the fabric, I would go with whatever side any final edging is worked around, because that's just typically going to be that final edge people will see and find most attractive. Now that said, that's pretty much other crocheters. I don't think anybody walking in off the street who, doesn't crochet is going to say, I think that's backwards. That row is from the other side. They're going to have no idea. But as a crocheter, yeah, when you work an edging on something, just work that edging facing whatever side you want to be the right side. So, all right, good. I'm glad that helped. Thank you. All right, any other questions before we make that edging round?
I don't see any other ones about the pattern. And just so you know, we've got about 10 minutes left. This is really just cooking right along.
It does. I swear the last half hour goes twice as fast as the first half. Okay, so let's get to it. Edging is going to be very simple. If you are an intermediate crocheter and you're following along here, you've probably worked into an edge before. So to make the edging round, I'm going to go ahead and turn, but that's going to make this the right side now. So if you really wanted to, you can go ahead and put a stitch marker in this side if you want to mark the right side. And then for the edging, we're just going to single crochet right across the previous row. And when you single crochet into post stitches, you just treat them like any other stitch. They've got that top V, just like any other stitch you would have worked into before. So now we're just going to work right under that top V, just like it was a regular double crochet. So of course, this first edge is always super easy because we're just working into those previous stitches. And when I get to my stitch marker here, I'm going to know I'm hitting my corner. So there we are. So then to continue on around, you just chain 2, and then you're going to work evenly right along the side edge. So like I said, odds are you've all done that before, but if you haven't, it's, I would say it's just as much art as it is science. You kind of want to try and get 2 loops on top of your hook, if you can, just like you were working into a regular stitch. You can kind of see I've got 2 loops here. And go ahead and make a single crochet. And then just kind of, if you've been crocheting for a while, you can see how wide these stitches are. This looks like a good spot for another one. And just really kind of use your eyeballs. And if you put one in and you decide, I really don't like that, of course, just pull it right back out. Try again. As you work down the side, you want to space it out so you get 32 single crochets worked evenly along the side of the square. And the reason we do that is because we've got 32 across the top and bottom. So we want 32 on each side to keep it square. That said, if you get 31, or you can only get 30 or 31, or you keep getting 33, it's not the end of the world. It's a pillow. Just make sure that you did take a note that you did that on your first piece so you can make sure the second piece matches, because you're going to want to match up those stitches 1 to 1 when you do join those 2 pieces together. So if you need to play with it, or if you have played with it, if you're making a different shape, maybe a rectangle, or you're making it bigger, you've played with the pattern a little bit, you'll change the number of stitches along the side, and that's fine. Just remember to be consistent so you can do the same thing as you go. So I'm going to kind of jump ahead of myself a little bit here and talk you through some more of this edging here so we can move on to the final assembly. So after you've worked your 32 stitches along the side, then you'll get down here to this next edge. When you've got your last one along the side, you chain 2, and then you're ready to just work right along that final edge. And this is what I was talking about. When you've made those foundation stitches, you've got 2 loops right there waiting for you. So you can just pull that right up and make your single crochets, just like it was the top of a stitch, really. You work your 32 across there, chain 2, work 32 up that other side. When you get to this end here, we would chain 2, join with a slip stitch in that first stitch, and finish off. Then you get to start it all over again to make a second piece. And then we join those 2 pieces together. So before I touch on assembly, did we have any other questions about the edging, Deanna?
I don't see any questions about the edging. People were asking for the pattern. I did drop the PDF in the chat there again. So if you can't see it and you don't have it, let me know and I will send that to you again. But other than that, it looks great.
Okay, great. All right, I was just adding a few more stitches here while you chatted. I'm going to go ahead and pretend I've gone all the way around here so I can demonstrate the assembly. So like I said, after you get all the way around, you would join with a slip stitch, which is of course just pull up your loop and then pull it on through. And then you can weave in those ends. And then at the end, you should have a much bigger version of a square right here. Oh, this is going to be really pretty in those variegated shades. So after you've got your 2 pieces made, we're going to pull up those stitch markers again. Let's see, I left one in here. So I've got 2 there, 3, and grab a 4th one from my little bin here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to match up our 2 pieces, and we want the wrong sides together. So you can see here on this one, this is the side I worked my edging from, because I can tell by the direction that those top V's are going. So if I was left-handed, those top V's would look like this. So on my little begun one here was from this side. So I would go ahead and turn one over so that those wrong sides are together. And I do recommend you weave in your ends before you do this as well, but I'm not going to do that right this minute. So after you've gotten your 2 pieces together, then you can take your stitch markers and start matching up the corners. So like there, I've got my chain 2 space, and I think, was this the corner I got my chain 2 made on? Oh, it was the other one. Let me turn it over. We'll pretend we'll start here. We'll start in this corner. Find your chain 2 space at the corner of one, find your chain 2 space at the corner of the other. Is that the corner? Where did I put that thing? There it is. Okay. Yep, find your chain 2, stick the stitch marker right through both of those layers, and now they're married up together. So if I'd gone all the way around the other one, there would be chain 2s on each corner where I could match them up. And then after you've got those chain 2s matched up, if you want to, you can go back with some more stitch markers and mark together, or rather match up together like every 5 or every 10 or every so often. And then that will help you stay on track as you work through both of these layers. Because that's what we're going to do our assembly. Now for assembly, you've got some options. You can make it exactly as it's written. You could do your own edging. You could do a simple single crochet edging. It could honestly be whatever you want it to be. But I will go ahead and demonstrate the way I did it here when I designed this pattern. So what you want to go ahead and do is we're going to be working through both thicknesses of this of the project. So it's easiest to start in that chain 2 corner, and go ahead and stick your hook through both layers here, and then you can just yarn over. And I always like to do a little slip stitch, not so much as a chain, but just to hold everything really firmly together there. And from there, then you can work your way around. If you want to do simple single crochets, you could just continue on around, match up your stitches, and work a stitch. And then you're just going to do that all the way around and join and finish off. But what I used for this pattern was something a little bit more fun. I'm going to get this stitch marker out of the way. And it's called the reverse single crochet, or sometimes called the crab stitch. Same thing. And the way you make the crab stitch or the reverse single crochet, I'm just pulling this a little closer to this side, is to actually work the opposite direction. So normally as a right-handed person, I would be working this way around my project. For the crab stitch or reverse single crochet, we're going to go the opposite direction. So if you were left-handed, normally you'd be taking off this way, you're going to be taking off this way. So then what we want to do is you want to take your hook and put it through the next pair of stitches from the opposite direction where you normally would go. So get under that first stitch there of both your layers. And if you're just practicing along with a little swatch, you can just go ahead and fold that swatch in half to start working through 2 layers there. Excuse me. Then I'm going to go ahead and pull my yarn all the way on back here to the back of my work, yarn over, pull that loop all the way up and through, excuse me, give it a little tug again if you need to, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. This first few of these always look a little wonky, so don't let that throw you off. You're going to want to make 4 or 5 of them before you judge them. So then we find the next pair of stitches here to the right, or to the left if you're left-handed, and go under both of those stitches, or through rather, both of those stitches under those top 2 V's, so that you're both through both layers. It doesn't do any good if you don't go through both layers. Yarn over, pull that loop up and through, and then we yarn over and pull through, just like a regular single crochet. So let's do another one. We go under those top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2. And you absolutely could sew in a zipper if you wanted to keep one side open. I would just recommend that on that zipper edge, you go ahead and add a little bit of that reverse single crochet just on maybe on one side. So if you want to have a right side versus a wrong side of the whole pillow, so that it covers up that zipper and makes sure that that goes all the way around. So you can go through all three layers, or excuse me, try this again. You can go through both layers, but only around 3 sides, and then through just 1 layer on that 4th side if you wanted to add a zipper. And then you could go back and add it to the other half of that 4th side if you wanted to too. So let's do it again. We're going to find that next pair of stitches, go from front to back right through both of those stitches, pull the yarn all the way to the back there. You'll notice I'm not pulling it up over these, I'm just kind of pulling it straight back. Sorry, camera wanted to jump on me a little bit there. So straight back, grab it with my hook, pull it up, yarn over, and pull through 2. So now that we've made a few of them, if you just give them a little tug, they always need a little zhuzh there at the end. You can see it's giving a really great texture right along there. So that is the reverse single crochet, and that is how the written pattern tells you to join. So if you don't like it, if you like a smoother edge, you can absolutely just do regular single crochet, but the reverse single crochet is just a lot of fun. And then when you get to those corner chain 2 spaces, you can just work 3 of those reverse single crochets in each of those chain 2 spaces, and that'll give you a really nice rounded corner for your pillow as well. One last thing I wanted to show though before we finish up is that there is another way to get a look that's extremely similar to the reverse single crochet without having to go backwards. And because so many people do struggle with the reverse single crochet, I just wanted to show you another alternative. Like I said, it gives you the same look, but some people find it a lot easier. So now I'm going to add a chain 1. With the reverse single crochet, I don't usually chain 1 first. It seems to work a little better if I don't. But now I'm going to add a chain 1. And I'm going to go ahead and go under those top 2 loops of the next 2 stitches, but now I'm going the direction I usually crochet. So I'm going left because I'm right-handed. I'd be going right if I was left-handed. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a loop. Now so far, it just looks like a regular single crochet, but I'm going to give it a little extra tug, a little extra height. And now I'm going to spin my entire hook all the way around, just like that. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. And it can get a little tight, so that's why you want to give it that little extra tug. So let's do that again. Go under the next 2 stitches. Remember, we get both layers. Yarn over, pull up a loop, give it a little extra tug, spin the whole hook around, yarn over, and pull through both of those loops. Let's do one more so we can see the effect here. I'm going to go under both of those layers, pull up my loop, give it a nice tug so I can get back through it after I've spun it, give it a spin, yarn over, pull through both of those. And now if I give it a little tug, you can see that looks super similar. Might actually be heading a different direction, but you know, it looks a lot like the reverse single crochet, but you don't have to work backwards. So you can give both of those methods a try and see which you prefer. But in the end, the effect is pretty darn similar. You're just working from different directions. So that is just another fun way to play with this pattern. So before we go off the hand cam, did we have any other questions that I can demonstrate answers to?
I don't think so. And we're now actually just at a couple minutes over.
Okay, well,
couple minutes past 5. So.
All right, well, then we can come back off the hand cam. So for anybody who joined late, this is what the finished pillow looks like. As we wrap up, again, I'm sorry about the glare, it's a little bright. That's why I didn't demonstrate it in the white, but I really love the effect. So I hope you guys will check out the pattern. Again, I know they've posted the link to the pattern a few times in the chat. So check that out if you didn't get it in the email. And then Deanna, were you gonna add the other links for the videos?
Yes, I can definitely.
Great. Okay, so definitely check that out too. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say check out the other links I'm dropping in are just the full tutorials that you had done on your website, Moogly blog.
Yeah, on Moogly, I do have a left
blog
one
post in that baby.
Yeah, there's yeah. So I can't actually crochet left-handed, but through the wonders of technology, I can create left-handed videos. So for those who are left-handed, I know post stitches can be a little bit more of a struggle when you are left-handed. So if you want to go ahead and check that out again at the link in the chat here, hopefully that will be helpful. And then of course there's lots of other fun things there to explore too. So I hope you'll check it out. Thanks so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know it's hot out there in a lot of places, so it's been nice to be in this cool basement too. So.
All right, thanks everyone for joining us. And I hope we have a great rest of your weekend.
All right. Have a great day,
All right.
everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you to Michaels.